Hi, this is the video for Monday, January 11th for 12th grade English. And I'm actually going to call this video Explanation of Final, because that is what we really did. Then in a separate video, I model how you could do option number 1. So if you want to see that, there's 2 videos. One explains option number 1. Here's what we did today. I went over a couple of announcements briefly, explaining it's really important that you try to get your stems in by the end of this week because our course is ending soon. And then I went into the models of the final. So here is your final. This is linked on the agenda. It's linked in the weekly documents. It's in a couple of places. I'm assigning it today. It's due the week of January 25th. That's 2 weeks from today. And the sooner you get it in, the better. The week of the 25th, that is. Our class is over the 29th, after which I don't know if I am allowed to accept anything because the gradebook might be closed. So a couple weeks to get this done, and that should be plenty of time. I'm going to model every single day how to do it in different ways so that by the end of the modeling, you should have a really good idea of what you need to do to succeed. It's worth 50 points, and you're going to choose one of these 3 options. You'll either record your analysis of a film from our list where there's no written piece, but you record what it is that you are noticing as you watch 15 minutes of the film. This is option number 1. And then there's option number 2, write a written, it's a little redundant, write an analysis of a film from our list, 2 to 3 pages. And lastly, you could do something completely different and instead record a tutorial for YouTube. So the first thing you do is select your method. Which of those 3 are you going to do? Commit to it and get familiar with the instructions. Each of those has a linked document explaining exactly what to do and how to be evaluated. So you'll know what success looks like if you choose that option. And then choose a film, or you choose a topic for your YouTube tutorial. I have to have seen the movie that you want to analyze. That's why I'm giving you a list. Otherwise, I can't really assess the quality of your analysis. But if you want to ask me about a particular film that you really want to analyze, there's a chance I've seen it. Can't hurt to ask. I don't have time to watch it. I have time, obviously, to watch one, but I have 40 of you, and I can't watch 40, so I just have to say no to be fair to everybody. Use my list or just ask and see if I happen to have watched one that you want to analyze. Otherwise, here's your list that you can choose from. And I've tried to make it really diverse in terms of content and genre and length. So it's a little bit random, but I'm hoping that I hit a lot of different interests with this list. I'm going to talk through your choices so you hear from me some disclaimers as you seek to make your choice. I made this list with a couple of assumptions about you, that you are a young adult headed into the world, and that a lot of the real world difficulties might be things you've already seen or experienced, and the media you consume reflects that. I made the list assuming that you can handle some foul language, or at least the possibility of choosing that, and that you can handle some difficult topics, or at least the possibility of choosing them. I also included some that don't have any intensity. Well, they all have good quality, but some that you can choose just to enjoy, escaping and having a beautiful story told to you. I made the list assuming you can make a good choice for yourself in what you find interesting that won't be too haunting for you, and if it is a more difficult topic, because a few of these are difficult. So avoid them if you don't feel ready, and choose them if you're curious. So the first option is It's a Wonderful Life. I think this is one of those that maybe will hit close to home if you or someone you know struggled with mental illness. I think the film does it in a really beautiful way. And we tried to watch this all, so that's how confident I felt that people could handle the difficulties within. But the snow days knocked that out of contention, so I'm offering it again for you to consider. It's also, if you want to see option number 1 model, that video, it's me talking through how I would analyze this film. The second option is a 30 for 30. Those are ESPN shorts. They're an hour, done by ESPN on sports stories. And this one happens to be about a South African rugby team that was in contention for the World Cup in 1995 against the backdrop of South Africa, which had just recently ended apartheid. Apartheid was the legal discrimination of Black people in South Africa and the separation of races, kind of like Jim Crow in America. So this is a really interesting film talking about how sports teams can dissolve some of those racial barriers. Along that thematic line, far more intensely, the third option is a short documentary. It's about 20 minutes long, called Race and Terror in Charlottesville. This is incredibly intense. The most intense and disturbing thing about it is the overt racism that is part of the plot. It is follows a journalist, pretty brave journalist, as she goes about interviewing some of the alt-right terrorizing rally attendees to see why do they do this? What do they believe about America? And their answers are disturbing. So know that, and think about whether or not you want to put yourself through that. But I did want to include it, especially in light of what happened last week with the insurrection at the Capitol, because this happens. We live in a world where there are individuals who will do anything to push some agenda, even violence. And this film captures that. So next, another intense one, and then we move to some that are a little less that. The next one is Amazon Prime, but you don't need premium to access it. So I thought, well, maybe some kids have Amazon Prime. It's a short 17-minute fictional film about sexual assault. It's incredibly, I'm going to keep using the word intense. It's a difficult topic. It is about a night 11 years prior. The woman believes she was raped and that she's confronting her rapist. The man believes it was consensual. So it's really a film about sexual assault and its definitions. And it features mature language and content. Please consider carefully if you're able to watch this. This is a really important topic, and I wanted to put it out there as something that you could consider and analyze. But I'm putting it up there with a red flag, so just know that. Then we have a few without those red flags on Disney+. The first is Soul, which came out recently. It's about a jazz pianist who finally catches a break before everything changes. And it's really a film about the afterlife and the before life. So it asks big questions about the nature of the universe, the nature of life itself. And it ends with some philosophical commentary. So it's really great. I wouldn't put it up here if I didn't think it was great. That's true for all of these. This next one on Disney Plus is Coco, which is an animated film about a young boy, a Mexican boy, who adores guitar and wants to be a famous guitarist. He ends up in the land of the dead through the Day of the Dead celebration. I like this one so much for the quality, the elegance of its story. I'm offering it because of that. It's nice that it's also available in Spanish for our students who are primarily Spanish speakers, just to have a film that's done with great respect of paid to the Spanish language. So it's available on Disney Plus there. And then we have Black Panther. Black Panther is, I wanted to put at least one Marvel or superhero film out. This is one I picked. Great film. It came out a few years ago about the kingdom of Wakanda and its king. So if you like Marvel and have or have not seen this, I think it's worthy of critical analysis. And then the last option on Disney Plus is Zootopia, an animated film about a young bunny who wants to be the first on a police force. They end up finding a terrible secret that threatens to undermine their entire society. I think this film is a lot deeper than the children who are primarily watching it might perceive. I'd be very curious to hear your below the surface analysis. And then on Netflix, I'm offering 4 options. The first is a documentary about 90 minutes long called I Am Not Your Negro. It's narrated by Samuel L. Jackson, and it features entirely the script of James Baldwin. It's from an unfinished book that he wrote. It's a documentary about race in America. It's told through images, video, and James Baldwin's words. It's really beautiful. It's harrowing. There's some disturbing images of some dead bodies towards the middle to end of the movie. I think it's worth it for all its disturbing qualities, but he has some cutting insights about America and race in America, and it's impossible to do that without capturing some of the violence. Then a couple of options that are TV shows where you can select any episode. I have seen all of the episodes of these, so you can pick any one you want. I tried to pick some that I thought were worthy of critical reception. So you can pick any episode of Chef's Table, a documentary TV show about world-renowned chefs. So if you're interested in cooking, culinary world, restaurant industry, there's so many different stories. You could scan through the bios and see which chef looks interesting to you. There is some foul language, but that's just the restaurant industry. It's otherwise fine for any viewer, and they're beautiful. Or you could pick any episode of The Last Dance, the documentary series about Michael Jordan, specifically focusing on their 1997 attempt for the 6th title in 8 years. And lastly, a film called Stranger Than Fiction. I just wanted a quality film that was kind of a romantic comedy, but this one is a little bit more of a drama, featuring an actor who's popular that might be a little bit more mainstream. So this fits the bill. It stars Will Ferrell opposite Maggie Gyllenhaal, and their story is a romantic one, but is set against a really creative backdrop. Those are all the options. So I feel like I've described the disclaimers well enough, but ask me if you have concerns or questions. I'm going to be screening some of these that are behind a paywall, so if you really want to do one that you can't access, then consider waiting until the day I screen it. I can't screen all of them, I just don't have time to catch all of them during our class, but I'll be screening these during your class time. I'll have 2 things going, the Zoom class, and I'll open up a Schoology conference for people who want to watch the movie during that class instead. And that was our class today, a presentation of the final. I'll call this video presentation of the final. It's where you can go if you have questions about the final. Before I finish, I should add these links here, here, and here explain in detail what it is you need to do for each choice, which I'll be spending the rest of the week going into more detail.